It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 12 of Season 6. I am your host, David Harbatkin, joined by, I don't know what kind of mood you're in tonight, Mr. K. Zalutski.
I can't wait till this fucking nightmare is over.
Well, we're only a couple of, we're about a month away from this nightmare being over. All right. So, first off, I'd like to wish everybody a happy times Thanksgiving. Maybe you're listening to this on the way to go eat some turkey. You should all be thankful that you are not the Hagglers this year. Yeah, let's get to the games. Where would you like to start?
By ending the podcast?
We can end it as soon as we go through these games. So the quicker we go through them, the quicker we can be done.
Are you fucking kidding me? I play you this week? What a fucking joke. I didn't even look at the computer for the last 2 weeks. Son of a bitch. All right, let's go back to last week's nightmare. All right, let's go to the season-ending debacle.
Well, okay. So
Hagglers versus great team.
All right. Well, so the interesting thing is right before the game. I mean, like, obviously you were behind the 8 ball, but we looked up the scenario that you would need to happen in order to make the playoffs. It was an outlandish scenario, but it was feasibly not only was it feasibly possible, it was it had a decent chance of coming to pass. You needed, I think, 4 teams to lose. So the first part was nobody was playing each other, so that happened. You needed all of those particular teams to lose. So we were talking about, I think it was like Miner, Nick, who else? The Blues, and they had to lose all of their games for the rest of the season, but it was possible. I mean, these teams have very difficult matchups for the rest of the way. The only problem was that you actually had to win your game, which didn't happen, Bob. As the Hackettstown Hagglers go down by a score of 158.96 to 94.02 to Tillett. I don't know. You want to go through your game?
Oh, it's playoffs. Playoffs? We just wanted to win a game. Obviously, did that happen?
No.
No. But Dalvin Cook did come back for 2 points. I think that was the same score he had eons ago. I'm sorry, he had 14.9, but prior to that, way back in September, when we had lofty hopes of doing anything, he had 2 points. Well, let me tell you something. You cannot win. Well, sometimes you can win championships in an auction, but let me tell you something. You can certainly lose them. You can certainly lose not even championships, hopes of making a playoff in an auction. Thanks, Dalvin Cook. Fuck you. Die.
And the interesting thing was I was actually looking at him, but you outbid him. You outbid me for him, so thanks. Okay, so Well, all right. So
Imagine if you had Le'Veon Bell and Dalvin Cook this season. Your team would be completely different as well.
yes, it would be. All right. Well, Deshaun Watson, who you paid $40 how much dollars for? He ended up with 13.02 points, just slightly less than Roethlisberger. Mike Evans with a 30 burger going against DeAndre Hopkins, 14.6. Emmanuel Sanders gets 10.20 points compared to Deshaun Jackson's 7.8. Saquon, say it ain't so, Barkley, got 35.20 to Adrian Peterson's 17.10. I mean, Peterson's been actually not that bad for you. Dalvin Cook outplayed by the backup running back, Alfred Blue, Houston, 4.60 to 2. Jordan Reed with 20.10 points. Where did that come from? Against Tim Burton's The Nightmare during your season, 1.90 points. Robert Woods outperformed Amari Cooper with 17.2. Cooper got 16.6. Bryant had 17, the kicker for Tillett's team. Crosby only got 6. 10 points for the Washington defense and 12 for the Giants defense. Yeah, there's nothing you could do in this game. I mean, Tillett just had a big game. 158. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row where people just put on a beating on the Hagglers. I mean, not that you had that great a game either. I mean, and it's not like you left anything on the bench. I mean, this is just, 19 points for Barber. He finally scored.
Yep, finally. Where are we right now? Are we behind the lightning rods? We're on the 3 for... What is it? 3 for 30?
Yeah, you're within one game of hockey. Who, unfortunately, sorry everybody, I guess he can set the record for worst team ever, maybe by points. I'm not sure, but he definitely will not be under the two game threshold. So we're not going to see a new round. That's so disappointing. But the Hagglers could be in last place.
It's been a steady elevator to the bottom of the league.
You just press that little D button and straight down to the bottom floor.
Sometimes you get the elevator, and sometimes you get the shaft. Thanks, Dalvin Cook.
Floor 12, please. All right. Right now you're on floor 11.
Sub-basement 12, please.
All right, well, I think good win for Tillett. He actually now is in 6th place. He would make the playoffs right now, and he actually has a game in hand on all of the rest of the players right now. So he's kind of in the driver's seat. If he wins out for the rest of the season, he will be in the playoffs.
Matter of fact, a side note to that, I would like to say, as a gentleman, I did try and contact Tillett because he had 4 people who weren't going to play in the game prior to our game. And, of course, this is what you get for being a gentleman.
This is why I'm never a gentleman, and I let people do whatever they want to do for their rosters. But, yes, who did he replace that day, too? Because he picked up Alfred Blue, which didn't make that much of a difference. Still outplayed Dalvin Cook. But, whatever. I think his kicker, his defense, he didn't have. There was like a whole host of people. He had Marvin Jones Jr., who was out in the lineup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
a gentlemanly move was paid handsomely for him. But that's how we roll. I did the same thing for Nick last season when he wasn't starting a tight end. So I don't mind if it's legit, but sometimes that happens.
I guess
it's still a gentlemanly thing to do, and I definitely got my rewards for it. Thanks, Dylan.
All right, well, let's move on to.
Why don't you send me a Applebee's gift card for the holiday?
For $5 with the $5 that you just gave him.
$30. Yeah.
All right. Well, so All right, where else do we go? Do we go to some people on the down elevator also? Because the 1603ers certainly have pressed the D button. we have there's two teams that were on the top floor in the penthouse and suddenly making their way down. One of them is certainly the 1603ers as they drop to the Whalers, who has been in the up elevator, score being 150.24 to 106.64. This game was over. I went to sleep after I saw Lamar Jackson not even throw a pass that first quarter. I was just, because I put in Crabtree, I was like, do I play him? He's got a new quarter. I didn't know anything about Lamar Jackson, but I figured, all right, he's a backup. He'll do, something. No. I mean, and this, by the way, is after, whatever his name is, Marquez Valdez Scandling and Associates, got only 1.8 on Thursday, so I had a little room to play, but no. Crabtree 1.70 points in the game, and also sat Mark Ingram, who had 22 points, 22.3 on the bench. The thing that makes me at least okay with this loss is, the 45 points from Tyreek Hill. That would have done me in no matter what. But, I definitely gave up in the morning on Thursday when I fucked up. Also, Whalers decided to play Eli Manning instead of Fitzpatrick because he didn't want to he didn't want to root against his Giants. That netted him an extra 10 points. Way to go. I mean, if I were to ever pick up a Jet player and be like, I can't root against the Jets, that would not happen to me. But, good for Whalers. 21.14 points for Eli Manning, only 16.74 for Matt Ryan, 43.5 from Tyreek Hill. I mean, Christian Kirk, nice effort, 16.7, but nothing compared to that. Golladay with 25.30 points for the Whalers, only 1.7 for Crabtree, as we mentioned. James Conner, the Terminator, only had 10.9 points. Kamara had 17.8. Melvin Gordon, the third, who still wants to play, got 21.60. Mixon, only 14.2. Somehow, Herman, the tight end, 6.0 points. Outplayed Zach Ertz, who only got 3.5. That was unexpected. Reynolds wrapped 20 points. That was actually a good play. I knew that he would do well. I didn't know that Crabtree would suck ass, but, whatever. Had I played him there, would have been a little bit of a closer game. And as I mentioned, Valdez, Scanlon, whatever, got 1.8. 10 from Rosas. Outplayed Butker, only got 9. 3 from the Arizona defense. My copy of Defensive Digest was hijacked by you. Houston got 14 points. Downward slide for the 1603ers, who 2 weeks ago were in second place. They're still in third by points. But their hopes for a bye are looking much more tenuous at this point. So, as Eugene has a 2-game lead on them in first place, so unless Eugene loses out, there goes the 1603ers' hopes of reclaiming first place. And the Whalers definitely has a huge point total lead against the 03ers now as they opened up. Well, it's not huge, but it's, what is that? 32 plus 27, 50-something in 2 games. It's going to be tough to overcome. So if Eugene can somehow lose his next 2 games, I mean, we may be able to sneak into a bye, or if Whalers shits the bed. But otherwise, it doesn't look good for us. And very good and important win for the Whalers, securing, or right now, continuing to find himself in second place and in place for the bye. He actually, we both, he was talking about how he had a shitty game. He really didn't have that shitty a game, but yes, Tyreek Hill really did a number on us there, and all our team. Our guys just sucked. What am I going to say? We sucked. My decision sucked. Way to go, Whalers.
Yeah, well played with Whalers. Obviously the beneficiary of that crazy Monday Night Football game, which is just unbelievable. Anybody who had anybody in that game would forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, I had somebody in that game, but not enough. I mean, actually, Reynolds Wrap even outplayed, what's his name? Woods, your guy. But yeah, you still got points out of him. Whatevs. Whalers also the beneficiary. Didn't he get Tyreek Hill from that trade from Minor, like the Hill and Ertz trade or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of made a difference. I mean, Minor now in 7th place, looking up, maybe perhaps thinking about what could have been had he not pulled the trigger on that. Yeah, Whalers definitely, as we've said before, a savvy trader. Has vastly improved his team ever since that trade, and now finds himself in 2nd place. All right, I have nothing else to say about this game. I don't even want to think about it. I went to sleep in the afternoon. I woke up and it was kind of close, and then I thought to myself, because I woke up, I think we were within 10 points or something. I'm like, oh great. Had I not played Crabtree, I could have caught up. And then, of course, the Monday Night Massacre just killed me. Okay, speaking of other teams that are on the way, that are on the elevator on the way down with us, Nick and Jamie, 2 weeks ago, were riding high, looked unstoppable in 1st place, and now they're falling to the lightning rods by a lot. As the lightning rods defeat Nick and Jamie 148.50 to 105.74 for their 2nd loss in a row. Granted, this loss, so they've lost to both the dessert and the entree now. Now,
I don't think anybody's done that this year.
I don't know either. They're sitting in 1st place, and then they they roll into dinner, and suddenly the check comes.
They roll into dinner to Applebee's. We're hungry. We're in 1st place. We can afford to eat. And then catastrophe happens as they get E. coli.
They must have had some romaine. Yes. So they've dropped from first in 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks that they've had their meal, they've dropped from 1st to 5th. Now, granted,
I'm not eating at Applebee's anymore. Whew.
So now, granted, this week they didn't have the New England Patriots, but when they lost to hockey, they had their full complement of silverware. This time they didn't even have; they had to eat with their hands. So Carson Wentz only had 3.84 points. Excuse me. Matthew Stafford, not that great a performance, but 15.40 points. T.Y. Hilton for Nick and Jamie did show up. They got 36.50, outplaying Julio Jones with 23.8. Juju Smith-Schuster 18.4 points, 9 from Tate. 13.9 for Mac for the Lightning Rods, going against TJ Yeldon, or TY Yeldon, or whatever, Yeldon for 5.2 points. Kareem Hunt for Nick and Jamie got 20.10, as opposed to Coleman for the Lightning Rods, who got 11.5. Jimmy Graham only got 2.3 for Nick and Jamie, 12.8 for O.J. Howard, who is subsequently gone on injured reserve, but not before he got those 12 points. 18.7 for Brandon Cooks on the Monday night game. Speaking of points going around there for the Lightning Rods, only 10.8. That's respectable from Sutton over in Denver. Suckup got 5, 12 from Tucker, 13 points from the Indianapolis defense, and 22 from the Los Angeles Rams defense. Even the defense scored a shitload of points in that game. I mean, so this would have been an interesting game had the Patriots been playing, because the Lightning Rods had Brady, and they would have been going against his entire team, so everybody who would have thrown to, would have actually hurt him. So this was a skewed matchup, but nonetheless, I mean, you gotta feel. I mean, last week what was their score last week? I mean, they got 105 this week, without the Patriots. In week 10, they only had 73, and that was with the Patriots. And this is the 2 games against the dessert and the entree. So there's got to be some concerns, let's just say, in Nick and Jamie Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean and the Lightning Rods actually move ahead of the Hackettstown Hagglers with that win.
Yeah, let's just overlook that little messy tidbit there. There's a new item on the menu.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Shepherd shit pie on the menu. Royal turds.
I don't even know. There might even be a new menu. Frankly, I think they've kind of come out with a whole new menu given what's happening now. I mean, you know, with the Lightning Rods.
Is Nick and Jamie making their way on the menu?
I have no clue. I mean, so let's look at the other menu item, the entree, as Make Odwin Great Again. Also, like, walloping Nikki Baby 149.42 to 86.08. This game got off to a terrible start for Nikki Baby because Aaron Rodgers threw for 25.58 points, but he basically threw it all to Devontae Adams, who got 26.60 points for hockey. So it was a bad start for him right there. New Orleans has been getting hot. Drew Brees with 38.52 points. Keenan Allen, 24 points for him, for Nikki Baby, but M. Harris... Maurice Harris for Washington only got 2.30 points. I'm guessing Nick had some buys. He's still holding on to Jordy Nelson. Didn't he retire? Once again, didn't he retire? I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, as I said, Fitzgerald 16.30 points. Derrick Henry for Dr. Hockey only got 4.6, and Leonard Fournette, the savior. Ever since the savior came back, he's been a savior for him. 22.10 points. Nick had Todd Gurley. Somehow Gurley only got 12.4 points. Sorry. 12.4 points in that ridiculous shootout. And Latavius Murray, the backup running back, only got 0.5 points, almost equaling Dalvin Cook's totals there. Yeah, I bet you Nikki Baby misses Elliott just slightly. Vance McDonald almost keeping pace with Jared Cook. Cook got 12.10 points. Vance McDonald with 11.7. 4.2 for Shepard. You want to talk about some Shepard's pie? Shepard's shit pie right there. 4.2 for Nikki Baby. 26.60 points for Philip Lindsay in Denver. 8 for Vinatieri. 1 for Elliott. 2 for the Carolina defense for Dr. Hockey. And -3 for Tennessee. So, yeah, this is another team. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what has happened in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, we might have some new menu items. Because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have some new items on the menu for sure.
I mean, because Nikki Baby has the 5th most points in the league, and I mean, he's in 9th place. Can he make the play? He can. If he win, I mean, he can make the playoffs if Tillett loses. I mean, Tillett needs to lose in order to open up anything for anyone, but and Nick would have to win out. I mean, but it's you want to talk about the just on the downward elevator. I mean, Nick has been on there for a little while. And he lost Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's got some problems there. But he still technically is mathematically alive.
Yeah, technically. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, Dr. Hockey is not, but he is still eligible for another $10. Okay. So that leaves us with, Eugene's game. I mean, we kind of called this one. This was our lock of the week, and it certainly ended up being that. Dave Secret Crush wins 162.72 to 108.54 against Lombardi's St. Louis Blues, who are also technically alive. They are in 8th place right now, so 5-6 for the St. Louis Blues. So they also need Till. Till is in the driver's seat, but they could catch them. They're like only down by 10 points in points. So, I mean, the Blues still have an outside chance of making it. But let's look at the this matchup. So 50.92 points. That's right, 5-0 for Mahomes, the greatest quarterback of all times, doubling Phillip Rivers. Total there, 25.64. Michael Thomas had 19.2 for Dave Secret Crush and only 4.2 for Tyrell Williams. For the Blues, I said this last week. Chris Davis, only 4.9 points. I said he was going to suck this week, and he did. Stephon Diggs did not. 31.60 points for him. For Eugene, 17 points for McCaffrey and 33.10 points for Elliott. Nick has got to be regretting that trade at this point.
Nicky, baby.
Oh my God! I mean, and by the way, Eugene is blowing out people with Dr. Hockey's running back and Nick's running back, just for the record. Yeah. So
Eugene got 162 with 2 people on his team getting 0.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. 4.2 points for Dion Lewis, 16 for David Johnson, 16.4 for David Johnson. But don't worry, Ben Watson had 0 points for Eugene's in the tight end position. But don't worry, Ebron got an equal number of 0 points in the game. So it's a wash there. That also explains why he spent so much money on a Zuma. But okay. 7.8 for Collins for the Blues, 27.3 for Aaron Jones, 11 for the kicker, and 0 for the Baltimore defense, 5 for Santos for the Blues, and 13 points for the New Orleans defense. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to say. I mean, obviously Eugene is in the driver's seat of being able to get first place, but let's not forget that the last week of the season, the Whalers does play Eugene, and that could be a battle for first place. And Whalers has more points than Eugene does, so that does set up a very interesting matchup there. There's actually a lot of exciting games coming up, especially with 2 weeks to go. I mean, not many that are going to decide the playoffs, as the playoffs teams seem to be largely decided, though there's still the one spot open, but who knows who's going to finish where. But looks like the Blues just might be out. They're not necessarily out. We'll get into that game yet, but yeah, it's not looking good for them. And then the last game of the season, or the last game of the week, Fitzmagic, or the Millennials, defeats Black Ice Dynasty 132.30 to 116.02. Black Ice Dynasty had Goff going and got 43.12 points, as opposed to Russell Wilson, who had 22.6. 18.5 from Beckham. I wish he had that last week instead of against me, where he got way more than that. And 15.6 from Thielen. Black Ice Dynasty had 7.3 from Alshon Jeffrey and a 0 from Demaryius Thomas. Wow. The RB1s were kind of kept pace with each other. Doug Martin for LeVar had 6.86 for Tyreek Cohen. 8 points for Theo Riddick for the Millennials, and 16.2 for Adams. Kelsey showed up this week with 28.70 points. Olsen only had 8.9. Antonio Brown, the other half of that trade, got 22.7 points. Bunches of Fun Cheese got 5.9, 12 for each kicker. Lutz and Zerline, -1 for the Chargers defense for Minor, and 15 points for the Chicago defense. The Millennials has been riding a lot of Chicago lately, and especially the defense, and that's benefited him a lot. the problem is that he has both their running backs. I mean, and like this time they just split the carry. I mean, Howard on the bench had 7.50 points. I mean, it's going to be, I don't know. I mean, the Millennials has been hot lately, and he could, maybe work his way in there, but I don't know. There's some things he has to address. But good win for him. I mean, he's right in the thick of things. It's a big game.
Yeah, he's got one of the better tight ends in Travis Kelce, who's having a great season. It's a toss-up between the Chicago running backs, and then Thielen's pretty decent. I mean, he's been riding that all season long as well. He's got some decent players.
I mean, he's got two good wide receivers. I mean, Thielen and Beckham. Kelce, I mean, just having a good tight end for anybody, this year is just puts you miles above everybody else. But yeah, he's still kind of weak in that running back place. But and Wilson has been serviceable. I mean, he could do some. I mean, as we've seen, you have no idea what's going to happen any given week at this point. So and we certainly saw that last year. So the whole key is to get in, and it looks like with this win. He's pretty much secured himself a playoff berth. I mean, he could still be caught on points. But it's most likely not going to happen if one win and he certainly clinches. So, all right. Well, that's last week's games. I saw most of them coming except for my own. Well, I did call my game the way that I did, but I certainly didn't see it playing out like that. But let's see what this week has in store for us, as a lot of these games are going to be taking place tomorrow or this morning. For those of you listening on your way to your Thanksgiving dinner, you could already mock how much we've gotten these games wrong. Which of these games do you want to go through first? I mean, all right. So, let's save the exciting games for last, the games that whatever. But let's look at the battles for the shit can. Is there any game that means absolutely nothing? Well, there's no game that means nothing, but there's one that's close. Lightning Rods versus Nikki Baby. So.
Oh yeah, that is pretty poor.
Yeah, 4-7 Nikki Baby against the 3-8 Lightning Rods. I mean, Lightning Rods, if he could win this game, he actually will be ahead of Nick. Not in terms of points, actually, but yeah, that'll be what a fall. What a savings by Grabthar's hammer. What a savings. Okay, so the current projection is 121.80 to 93.12 in favor of the Lightning Rods. Let's see, is Nick made... All right, well, this is with the edit. Whoa. Only 93 points project. Oh, Todd Gurley's on a bye. Yeah, this is bad for Nicky Baby. Luckily, I don't think that... I think he's come to terms with the fact that he's not making the playoffs. But, all right. So, Stafford going in the traditional Thursday Detroit game. Playing versus Chicago at early on Thanksgiving morning, going against Aaron Rodgers playing at Minnesota on Sunday in the Sunday night game. Rodgers playing at Minnesota. I don't know. See, so here's the thing. These Thanksgiving Detroit games always baffle me. Because Detroit actually usually plays decently well in that one game of the season. So Stafford could have a good game in this. Rodgers at Minnesota. I mean, what did he do last? I mean, wasn't that he only had 18 points last time he played Minnesota. I mean, you can't not give the edge to Rodgers, so I'll give him the edge. Keenan Allen versus Arizona, and Harris, still rolling with him at Dallas, going against Julio Jones and Smith-Schuster. I think I'm going to give the edge to the Lightning Rods in the wide receiver category there, especially with Julio Jones going at New Orleans. Latavius Murray, he's still rolling with Latavius Murray, the backup running back, going against Marlon Mack, going to give him the edge there. Tevin Coleman going against Javorius Allen, going versus Oakland. Now that Gus Edwards, Rutgers' own Mr. Gus Edwards.
Oh, Rutgers. Oh, yayas.
Yayas. Wow, Nikki Baby's team sucks. Doyle versus Miami against Cook at Baltimore. Yikes. Sterling Shepard at Philadelphia. Allen Robinson the second at Detroit. What has he been doing? Has he done anything lately? I don't think he has. Got 6.9 last week, I believe. A lot of that's actually been going to Miller. So maybe that. I mean, but that's still not a weak spot because Nick has Shepard going. Tucker against Vinatieri, Tennessee for Nicky Baby, and the Rams defense, who's on a bye for the Lightning Rods, doesn't even need him. Still is favored by 30 points without even having a defense. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lightning Rods. Matching Nicky Baby in record. So the dessert. We want to talk about a new menu item. We have a new item on the menu, and it is Nicky Baby.
He could be joining me. The Hagglers and Nick could be the new hot Applebee's item for the holidays.
I know. I mean, it's going to be quite a battle for the tray. Let me tell you. Yeah, I don't see Nick winning this game. His team sucks.
Well, like you said, he's probably smarting for some Ezekiel Elliott right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, good for the Lightning Rods though. Way to salvage your season and continue to rack up some money. Yeah. $20 on. I mean, well, he's got 15, but he's on his way to 20, maybe even 25. All right. Well, if Nick loses this, which I think he will officially be eliminated, and be preparing for the consolation bracket. Let's see. Are there any? What other matchups do we have here of potential consolation bracket teams? Let's go to make Odwin great again against St. Louis Blues. Let's see if one of the other menu items can add something else to the remove himself from the menu and add something else to it. The St. Louis Blues. Right now, the current projection is 119.25 to 115.58 in favor of Dr. Hockey. The Blues, does he absolutely need to win this game? I think he does, right? Yes, because if he loses this game, well, oof. I mean, if he loses until it loses, he'll still be alive, technically. Nick won't be alive. Nick needs this. But the Blues can technically afford to lose this game if Tillett loses. But I wouldn't advise it, though it looks like he might. So the Drew Brees versus Atlanta on Thursday night. I mean, Drew Brees has been a monster lately, and going into Atlanta where actually staying at home versus Atlanta. I mean, we saw what happened in that first game between the two. Yeah, that's going to be a points machine. So Drew Brees is going to do a lot this week going against Philip Rivers. The Blues might actually face two quarterbacks that will double Philip Rivers' scores in 2 weeks in a row, because Mahomes last week literally doubled his score, and now Philip Rivers going against Arizona. I mean, he should have an okay game there, but I think Breeze is going to just blow him out of the water there. Devontae Adams, who's been really good lately, I mean, all season long, frankly, at Minnesota, and Larry Fitzgerald at the Chargers. So going against Stephon Diggs, who had that game last week, that really good game last week, and Corey Davis. There's a weak spot right there. Dion Lewis and David Johnson. Dion Lewis playing at Houston, and David Johnson at the Chargers, going against Derrick Henry and the Savior Fournette at Buffalo. Yeah. Give the edge to Hockey, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Vance McDonald against Ebron. I don't know what the hell. I mean, Vance McDonald's actually had a decent season this season. I don't know how that happened. Ebron has had a great season, but last week he had 0 points. So I have no fucking clue what's going to happen there. Alex Collins versus Oakland. I mean, if they go with Gus Edwards, that's going to hurt Alex Collins. And Philip Lindsay, who had that amazing game last week, versus Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think Hockey wins this game. Oh, Carolina and New Orleans defense. Yeah, I think Hockey wins this, and really starts to tighten the screws on the Blues, and makes a case for him being on the menu.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams joining the Applebee's menu. It's going to be pretty crowded in there. We might have to have a second page.
I know. Yeah. All right. So that's those two games. Speaking of other menu items, so here's one person that is certainly not on the menu, going against somebody who also looks to have his playoff hopes dashed as the Whalers takes on Black Ice Dynasty. Right now, the Whalers is favored 143.20 to 120.19. All right, so Whalers is rolling with Baker Mayfield. Interesting. Going against Jameis Winston, who Miner paid, I think, $50 for this week versus San Francisco.
Woo!
So, interesting move there for, because Fitzmagic was Whalers QB. Miner goes and picks up, the guy who's now going to play instead of Whalers QB. So, gotta hand it to Miner in terms of his savvy. He's always savvy. And he always wants that $5. So never count him out. Even when he's out, he could have a hockey-like record and, go into the last season and he still wants his $5. So don't ever count Miner out. I think Winston will outplay Mayfield in this game. But then you have Antonio Brown versus Galladay. That's a good matchup right there. Josh Gordon against Danny Amendola, picked up by the Whalers recently. Adams. What did this Adams guy do last? Josh Adams? He did something last week, right? 16 points last week. Going against the Giants versus Kamara versus Atlanta. I think Kamara, I'll play him there. And then Mixon versus Cleveland. And Kenyon Drake for Miner. I think that's really his weakness, is going to be his running backs. Ertz against Olsen. Didn't that happen last week? Did these two teams... What? Oh, it was Kelsey versus Olsen. So, all right. Okay. So actually, these two teams are just going against their old traded players. Alshon Jeffrey against Nick Chubb. I think... Nick Chubb, he's been good, right? Ever since he's gotten in there. 35.9 points. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Badgley, the Chargers kicker, okay, versus Prater in Houston versus the Rams. I think Whalers wins this. I don't, Miner will have a minor showing. No pun intended, a minor showing. I think
a minor. I get it.
It wasn't even intended. Yeah, I think Whalers wins this. I don't think there's any question about that. Maybe. I think the quarterback move is a good move, but I think that Whalers has a lot of weapons anyway to overcome that.
Yeah, I think so. This is obvious Whalers smearing the way he's been playing lately.
Yeah, although he did have that. Tyreek Hill is on a bye this week, and Ertz didn't play that well. Look, Miner could pull this out if things break well for him, but because I played a terrible game last week, and could have been ahead of him had it not been for Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill's not playing this week. So, this is actually, ironically, when Miner made the trade for, it was Antonio Brown and Zach Ertz for, no, wait, it was Ertz and Hill for Antonio Brown and who? I don't even remember who he got in that, the other guy, but whatever. And now Whalers doesn't have one of the two that he had in that trade. So maybe, it doesn't look likely, but it's possible. Okay. What else do we got? All right, let's do the other. Listener. Who's in Mexico or something like that. I don't know. He's somewhere with palm trees and whatever, celebrating Thanksgiving. All right, so Dave's Secret Crush going against Fitzmagic. Now, Fitzmagic the Millennials. I'm not even. He needs to change that name. It's just so annoying. All right, so the projection right now 148.98 to 131.15. Eugene projected to beat the Millennials. So Mahomes is out, so he can't play the greatest quarterback of all time. So he has to play Kirk Cousins versus Green Bay, going against Russell Wilson at Carolina. I actually think Wilson will have a pretty good game against Carolina. We saw what Pittsburgh did a couple weeks ago. Michael Thomas against Odell Beckham, and Tyrell Williams, who's questionable going against Thielen. I could. Michael Thomas versus Atlanta, though, but Tyrell Williams, and Thielen, I might give the edge to the Millennials, and I'm giving the edge there all the way. And then we go back to where Eugene's bread and butter is McCaffrey and Elliott. McCaffrey playing Seattle and Elliott playing versus Washington, going against Cohen and Riddick. He's going to get blown out in the running back position. Cameron Brate for Eugene. Didn't even put in Azuma, the newly acquired and heavily paid for Azuma, going against Jay Smith. I don't even know who that is. Jonnu Smith of Tennessee, who, all right, well, Jonnu Smith had 10.40 points last week. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. Jordan Howard in the flex going against Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has been great lately. So once again, Millennials rolling with two Chicago running backs. I don't understand this whole season. What is going? I don't know. Parkey and for Eugene going against Lutz. Lutz has actually been a pretty damn good kicker for the Millennials too. 12 last week, 17, 11, 16. He's been having double digits all the time because New Orleans just keeps on scoring. And then of course the Chicago defense for the Millennials going against Baltimore. For Eugene, it would be interesting, if the Millennials wins this game, but I just think that running back tandem is just way too much for the Millennials to handle. I think that's really the difference.
Yeah. Come on now. It's not even... Yeah.
Yeah, and Eugene, a story of somebody who got off the menu. He hasn't been on the menu for a long time. His office mate might be on the menu now, but he's removed himself from the menu, and now he's the fucking cook. Jesus. All right. But yes, obviously, I think we both picked Eugene there. All right, that leaves us with two more games. One is Nick and Jamie versus Team Auto Draft. Kimmel. This is a surprisingly competitive game, and if Kimmel wins this, he will clinch a playoff spot. If they can beat Nick and Jamie for 3 weeks in a row, they will have the same record. And Nick and Jamie, they won't. I think they have Tillett on points, so they won't actually drop to 6. But that could be like, they could fall down the elevator shaft, and they're not going to find themselves out of the playoffs. But wow, not what they anticipated. All right, well, Nick and Jamie rolling with Wentz versus the Giants, hoping for a bounce back game. Roethlisberger is playing at Denver. He's hoping for a bit of a bounce back game as well, at least in points. T.Y. Hilton, who was good last week, going against Mike Evans, who was great last week. Golden Tate versus Tyler Lockett. So Nick and Jamie has replaced their reliance on the Patriots with now some reliance on the Eagles. He's actually just now playing the players from last year's Super Bowl is basically what's happening. James White and Sony Michel, the two New England running backs, going against Saquon Barkley and Isaiah Crowell. Obviously Saquon is good, but what has Crowell done? Has he done anything? No. But are both New England running backs going to do that well? I don't know. And then he's going with Gronk. Reed had a big game last week. He's still rolling with Cooper, hanging with Mr. Cooper versus Washington, though that might not be a bad move this week because Dallas also, since they play every Thanksgiving, they usually have a decent game, and they're playing Washington. Going against Edelman. Wow, all right. So how many Patriots do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rolling with 5 Patriots now that they're back because Scout season's in there. They're all playing the Jets too, so that it is a good matchup to play some Patriots. And Bryant, the kicker for Tillett. Washington is the defense for Tillett, and Indianapolis, Nick and Jamie's defense. This is actually look, the Jets actually play New England well a lot of the time. That's like their one good game a season. And the Giants the Giants play the Eagles well because Nick and Jamie are not only relying on the 2 former Super Bowl contenders from last year, but they're relying on in very heavy matchups. Do they have anybody not in that? So Indianapolis and T.Y. Hilton are the only 2 that are not in those 2 games. Anything goes wrong in any of those 2 games, and they're fucked. And by the way, Barkley is playing against them in one of those games. I'm actually going to go with Tillett in this. I think Tillett might win this.
I might have to go with you on that one.
Yeah, wow. Less than a month ago, we were just talking about them being almost unstoppable. Now, they're like Dr. Drake Ramore falling down the elevator shaft. All right. So if Tillett does win that, then he will have clinched himself a playoff spot. So, that'll remove all the intrigue for some of those other players in the last week of the season. But we'll see. If Nick and Jamie can pull out a win there, then we have a very exciting, perhaps, last push for a playoff spot in that last week. I don't know. We'll see. Tillett missed it the playoffs last year by that holding. They were the one who missed the playoffs by that holding penalty in that field goal game. So, it would be nice. I'm sure he would find it nice to be back in the playoffs. He's 2 years removed from being in the championship game, so hope springs eternal for anybody having a bad season this year. Hint, hint. Maybe you can come back and do well next year. All right, that leaves us with one last game. Hackettstown Hagglers for the 1603ers, the repeat of last year's championship game. Not with as much on the line this year, at least for one of the 2 teams. The projection currently is 123.23 to 112.23 in favor of the 1603ers. Matt Ryan going against New Orleans. Ridley also against New Orleans, so he's looking for twofers there. You're looking for your twofers out of Watson and Hopkins, who are versus Tennessee. I wonder if Tennessee is going to play that, boring, nothing happens defense where they just try to keep the ball. I have no idea. Right now, we're going with Aaron Miller, it looks like. So I don't know about this decision, but he played Detroit 2 weeks ago, and he had a huge game. What did he have? He had 23.20 points. So, that's kind of why I'm going with him. You're going with Emmanuel Sanders versus Pittsburgh. Right now in the running back position, Adrian Peterson and Dalvin Cook versus Melvin Gordon and Mark Ingram. Ingram has been hot lately. In the tight end position, Hurman versus Burton. And right now we're rolling with Gus Edwards versus Oakland against Robert Woods, who doesn't even have a game. And James Conner's currently on the bench. We'll see how much we revise this after the Thursday games. I find it kind of difficult to bench James Conner. I don't know if I'm going to do it. But he's had a couple of bad, not that great weeks. And it is a good matchup for Edwards, especially if Mr. I Can't Throw a Pass is in there again against Oakland. So we'll see if we go with that. You should probably put in somebody in that last spot. I don't know who you have. If John Brown, you could put him in. What did he score? A whooping one. See if whatever. Mr. Doesn't Throw a Pass gets in there. He had 3.3. He doubled Crabtree's effort from last week. I think I threw Crabtree in the trash after that game, but way to hold on to your guy. I'm gonna pick the 1603ers in this. Even if you put somebody in there, I know your heart's not in it anyway. So but there is whatever. I'm sure you want to play some spoiler. Actually, I don't. You don't even give a shit. I think you want to just play video games.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even notice. It's one of my players not playing? Let me throw in, John Brown is terrible with a terrible quarterback. So I think I'm just going to put in more. I want to see more out of this team. What they've been doing lately. So, yeah. Hopefully he'll give us a little more than had before. All right.
I'm sure you're going to be more than satisfied.
I'm sure that's perfect. We're going to be more than satisfied with our record this season.
I think I'm going to go with 1603. You know what? Fuck it. The last 2 weeks I've picked against myself, and I've had devastating losses. Fuck it. I'm finally going to pick again. I'm going to pick for myself against you, even though only because you just don't give a fuck. And you don't have the personnel and whatever. And I need a win. I really, 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 really need a win. Okay, so who's your lock of the week?
Lock of the week, I think, is going to be Whalers beating Minor, maybe? Or Lightning Rods beating the stuffing out of Nick, actually.
Yeah, that's my lock of the week. I think my upset of the week is going to be Minor over the Whalers. Sorry, Whalers. I don't think it's actually going to happen.
Over the Whalers. Ooh.
Well, because he doesn't have Tyreek Hill in there that week, and he's going with Baker Mayfield. And, look, Minor's... I don't think it's actually going to happen, but I think if there's a chance for an upset, it could happen this week. Look, his running backs are weak, and they suck. But Ertz wasn't good last week. He's missing his best wide receiver. He's going with Mayfield. He's losing the quarterback. Minor's playing Winston. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. I just think, for a long shot, throw it at the dartboard. Upset of the week, I'm going to go with that one. For my lock of the week, jeez. I guess it's got to be Eugene, just because of that running back. Yeah, that running back. It's a joke versus, every other team's greatest running backs. Although he does have Kirk Cousins. That's a possible. I don't even know if I'm going to go with that with the lock of the week. Let me see if I could go else. It's got to be Nicky Baby. Nicky Baby going down is my lock of the week. What am I talking about? The Lightning Rods are going to beat the stuffing out of him on Thanksgiving and maybe have some canned cranberries alongside of it. That's my prediction. All right.
All right, people.
Yeah, so have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you enjoy all the games and your families and whatever else you do with yourselves. We will see you back next week for the last week of the season, mercifully for some of us, as we get ready for the playoffs. But not yet. We still have one more week left. One more chance for $5. Well, we have 2 more chances this one, but next week we will have that for all of you. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, losers. See you next week.
All right, bye.